What's up, summoners, and welcome back to another ProGuides Wild Rift video. My name is Courage, and today we're going to take a look at the newly released champion Senna. Let's go straight to the ability rundown. Her passive ability is called Absolution. With that, she has the unique ability to absorb mist by consuming souls which spawn from dead enemies. By hitting an enemy twice within 4 seconds, she can also siphon said mist from them. Doing so also deals a portion of their current health and physical damage, and behold guys, there's even more to her passive. The more mist Senna absorbs, the stronger she becomes, and after every 20 stacks she gains 25 extra attack range and 15% critical strike chance. Even better, 35% of excess critical strike chance is converted into physical vamp. Don't worry, we're almost done with the passive. Since Senna's auto attacks take extra time to fire, she's dealing bonus physical damage on hit and is granted a percentage of her target's movement speed. Well, quite the essay for a passive ability. Her first ability is named Piercing Darkness. Senna can pretty much cast it on any unit, be it an ally, an enemy, or even a ward. Allies hit by it are healed, enemies are damaged, and every auto attack reduces its cooldown by 1 second. Last Embrace is Senna's second ability. Upon casting it, a black wave of mist is sent forth, it deals damage to the first target hit, and after a short delay, everything around it is rooted, including the target itself. Her third ability bears the name Curse of the Black Mist. Turning into a wraith and dissolving into a cloud of mist for 6 seconds is its core function. However, allies who enter it also reap its benefits, turning into wraiths themselves. All wraiths gain 20% bonus movement speed and can't be targeted. In addition to them becoming wraiths, they'll also hide their identities, so as long as nobody is too close or attacks, they'll remain in their wraith form. Pretty scary if you ask me, especially as the game goes on. Who's walking at you? An AD carry or some beefy tank? Eventually you'll find out, but it's most likely too late then. Last but not least comes her ultimate ability, Dawning Shadow. This shoots out a global wave that shields allies and deals damage to enemies if they're caught in the inner area of that spell. Easy global pressure for a support, by the way. On top of that, it also reveals the area it travels through for a brief period of time. Budget redemption, by the way. For runes, you want to take Grasp of the Undying, Brutal, Adaptive Carapace, and Mana Flow Band. We are going for the tanky build, so we want to maximize poke and tankiness through this keystone. Even though we're a hard scaling champion, we may take Brutal to win lane even more consistently. The extra AD can really make a difference. To put emphasis on that aspect of laning, Adaptive Carapace comes in handy as well. Flat health plus bonus resistances are quite the fancy treat. And well, to not run out of mana, we kinda need Mana Flow Band, unless you want to spend gold for a tier, which then staggers your build path and uses up an item slot, like you know how it goes. We have limited slots. Item-wise, we want to start with a Ruby Crystal. Sounds weird, right? But the extra 150 health we gain can be traded for additional damage. With that crystal, we want to build towards a Frozen Mallet. After that, Black Cleaver, Mortal Reminder, Rapid Fire Cannon, a Guardian Angel, and Defensive Boots with a Locket Enchant. Those items do not have to be built in that order. You can also start with a Longsword to get an early Executioner, or to go Black Cleaver first. But wherever you go, you'll end up becoming quite the chonker. Senna is a ranged champion and is therefore able to poke the enemy early on. Sometimes you can even skill your second ability Last Embrace first and fish for a root when you're cheesing an enemy. Doing so will net you a free trade and a potential kill afterwards. Worst case though, you'll still establish lane dominance, and zoning the enemy off XP and gold is quite the valuable move if you ask me. But be careful to not overstep your boundaries. Once you hit the high elos, you'll realize that the enemy is also paying attention to your mistakes and positioning. Once you've gone too far, there might be an Alistair Flash pulverizing your head and knocking you back into his tower. After that, you'll find yourself respawning in Fountain relatively soon. Another thing you have to keep in mind is the fact that invading a Senna can turn really bad really fast if her and her team are on the same page. Once rooted, Senna's team might run you down and make your laning phase a living hell shortly after. Good luck recovering from that. And now imagine a world in which the Senna is snowballing and randomly got herself a red buff. All your thoughts about engaging in a 2v2 scenario are now gone, and if you still try to force the issue, you'll lose even harder. Just take a look at this. How is this even considered fair anymore? And that's not all. After hard stomping lane before the scuttler spawns, you might rotate to the river to translate your lane lead into a nightmarish experience for the enemy jungler. Picture yourself being ran down by 2 ranged champions and unable to do anything. Really fun, at least for the 2. But whatever you end up doing, always watch out for the enemy's mistakes and capitalize on them as fast as possible, because it turns out that killing your enemy for free is quite the good strategy to win games. As the game goes on and you gain access to your ultimate ability, you want to actively look at the map as much as possible. Thanks to your ultimate ability having infinite range, you can assist your teammates across the map while you're walking back to lane. Efficiency is key. Once you're back to lane, you want to extend your lead, fish for roots from out of vision and take away the enemy's HP bar so you can easily dive them afterwards. After all, you're a ranged champion and you can do so without any warrior in the world unless you literally run it down into certain champions. Alistair, by the way. One important thing about diving though. Think about who's supposed to tank and when to initiate the dive. Don't get impatient and get yourself killed. Let your teammates play with you and collect the free gold afterwards. Doing so around the 4-minute mark and succeeding usually leads to obtaining the first dragon, which most of the time breaks the enemy's mental. You have no idea how many times people will surrender over losing the first dragon. It's so pointless though. You can still win. But don't lose your focus. Even though your team is doing the dragon, you might be able to catch off some stragglers and extend your lead even more. Also on that note, granting your teammate an escape route is an excellent trait of a good player. Another good trait is knowing when to pull the trigger. Look at the map, look at your team, and go for a play if you think it's going to work out. Learn your and your champion's limits and grow as a player. Before we continue with today's video, make sure to check out our Discord in the description below. Regular giveaways, events, and a lot of community interaction are waiting for you there, so come on and join the ProGuides family. As the game goes on, you'll be able to skirmish a lot more. Find opportune moments to brawl with an enemy and don't believe that a tower is saving anyone. Don't be afraid of committing a flash to catch somebody off guard, especially when you're familiar with the second ability flash interaction. You may just flash in and get an easy catch with it. But this one is for you PC players. Don't be deceived by Senna's inner area of ultimate ability. It is damn small, and so don't feel bad if you end up missing. Even if it's on a route to target, but let's be honest here, I just gloriously whiffed. After such a fight, it's important to capitalize on as many things as possible. Taking away an enemy tower and another wave, but be aware of the possibility of being ganked. And if that happens, cut your losses. If you have no way of winning that extended brawl, rather run and let one teammate die than forcing everybody into their demise. After getting back to base, it's about finding proactive plays again. Don't just idle around, look for something and go for it. Nonetheless, every action also entails a certain risk that needs to be accounted for. And sometimes it's just going to be an L. But not necessarily for you if you're aware of your champion's strength. Don't get baited into dying for your teammates' sins. Keep your space and turn around when the time is right. For your cooldowns, you want to use them in the best possible order to do the most damage possible. While doing so, you can also mitigate a lot of potential incoming damage. Don't forget about your ultimate shield, it can really come in clutch. Another undervalued trait of good players is their resource management. Health points are also something you can trade in order to win a fight. If the enemy is wasting their time hitting you, the support, they cannot hit the carry at the same time. Soaking the damage will allow your teammates to shine, and it's going to be an easy fight if they choose to participate. But with all this in mind, don't just die for no reason. You might live on a knife's edge, but back off unless dying guarantees victory. Okay, let's take a small break for our question of the day. Who do you like more so far, Lucian or Senna, and why? Let us know in the comments below. Minimizing your death count is quite the important task if you want to improve as a player. For that, you want to look at the fight and think how it will develop in the future. In which direction can you kite to, and which movement will cause death. Mind your spacing and keep the distance if required, but don't let anyone survive who's overstepping their boundaries. Use your kit, range and damage to hunt them down. And after you succeeded in doing so, check out the wave and see if it needs a quick fix. You're not the typical support champion. You also scale quite well with extra gold, and you may become a force to be reckoned with. But most importantly, with the tank Senna build, you're not going to die anytime soon if you're ahead. In fights, however, you want to target the right enemy champion. Killing the Alistar with a Varus that's in range would accumulate to griefing. Don't just run away after they've used their cooldowns, use this opportunity to punish them. However, back off once you've done so unless you can go in for the kill. Rather wait for another chance to strike than overforcing the play. Once you've won that skirmish, you want to take more than just a wave. You want everything. Wave, tower and the plant. Leave them with nothing. Doing so though exposes you to a certain risk. The jungler or champions with global abilities. Seeing a Pantheon ult on you might look scary and your first instinct tells you to run away to your tower as fast as possible, but just because you run to your own tower doesn't make you safe. Sometimes you'll need to walk an aggressive path to avoid dying. Now that we've gone through the early and mid game, it's time for the late game. At this stage of the game, positioning and target selection become invaluable. Hitting the wrong target might just lose you the game, and losing track of the enemy's cooldowns might do so as well. Especially if you're running Locket, you have to know when to use it. So if you know that you'll end up being crowd controlled along with your teammates, just smash it before the enemy CC hits. This way you'll mitigate a lot of damage and your team gets a chance of survival. On a side note, you can also start casting your ultimate ability before being stunned. It cannot be cancelled unless you die before finishing its cast. And once you survive the enemy's onslaught, it's just about running them down. Your Frozen Mallet and your insane range will make it near impossible for the enemy to escape. With them dead, you might take any objective on the map and pillage their jungle. Yet again, leave them with nothing because they don't deserve anything. Last but not least, you'll also run into a lot of situations in which you cannot be with your team in time. Luckily enough though, your ultimate ability can make up for that super easily. Look for the perfect angle and pull the trigger. With that, we're at the end of today's video. Thank you all for watching, and if you enjoyed this format, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. We've got a lot of new things coming your way, and you can already prepare yourself for a brand new format very soon. So, catch you next time.